everyone seems to be making more money than you. Or does it just look that way? Hi, my name's Sean, and in today's video, we'll look at some biases that can make you feel like everyone around you has more money than you do, even though you're more or less doing the same as they are. Number 1, lower savings rate. Imagine you have a good friend who is always dressed really fashionably, has the latest clothes, often eats out, and always has the best champagne. Meanwhile, you handle your income a bit more frugally and conservatively, which makes you feel that your friend has significantly more money even though you both have the same job. The difference between the two of you is in your savings rate. While your friend lives by the motto YOLO and spends everything she has, you might maintain a healthy savings rate of 30% and invest this money monthly in ETFs. Let's look at the numbers. Let's take an example of Germany. Also, before people come at me in the comments of why I picked Germany and not a country like the US or the UK, in short, Germany was some of the easiest for me to find clean data from to demonstrate what I want to show. Now, back to my point. Let's take the average net salary of 2,555 euros. The average savings rate in Germany is currently 11.3%. This means that from this average income, 289 euros is saved each month. You, however, save 30%, which is 767 euros per month, or 478 euros more than average. These nearly 500 euros are missing from your budget for spending if you compare yourself to the average German who saves around 11%. Thus, the simple conclusion, those who save more can spend less and appear less rich as a result. By the way, Germans do tend to save a little more than most, so in the US, the average savings rate is around 4.6% right now, and in the UK, it's around 8.2%. Now, number 2 is differently split budgets. Do you spend 36% of your income on housing, 15% on food, 12% on transportation, 9% on leisure, and 4% on clothing? If so, you would be spending your money just like the average person. But it's likely that your spending breakdown is different, and the same is probably true for your friends and other people that you know. So, despite having the same salary, more might be spent in different categories if you save elsewhere. For example, you might not prioritize high-quality food, but you enjoy spending on clothing and entertainment. Depending on personal preferences, your social circle may seem wealthier in certain areas than you do. For example, some people live by the saying more horsepower over housing, meaning it's better to spend money on a car than where you live. By the way, if you want to find out how exactly you spend your money, you should use a tool or an Excel template that can help you with it. I'll leave a link for one that I like in the description. Number 3 is self-presentation on social media. Here we found an interesting meta-study where 3 authors examined different articles and datasets to explore the impact of social media on our lives. When comparing ourselves with others, we can make an upward comparison or a downward comparison. This means we can compare ourselves to people who appear to be better off or those who seem to be worse off. On social media, we mostly encounter upward comparisons, meaning we compare ourselves with people who seem better off than we are. So people who take more frequent and more exotic vacations, drive bigger cars, go out to eat more often, and maybe even look better and work out more. According to the study's authors, this happens because people tend to share more positive things online than negative ones. As a result, people who post things on social media appear to lead much more positive lives than may actually be the case. The study also points out that this upward comparison has a negative effect on self-perception and emotions. In simple terms, we feel inferior compared to what we see on social media. This idealized world not only includes luxury cars, expensive watches, and vacations, but also extends to large gains on the stock or crypto markets, or even lottery wins. Big wins are shared, but if someone has been losing money for years, they likely won't post about it. So don't let it get you down. The world on social media is much more idealized than what's happening in reality. Now we're at point number 4, wealthy family background. A wealthy background can be a major financial support factor that isn't immediately visible and can quickly make you feel like you have less money than others because your friends' parents chip in. This often starts in school or university when parents provide financial support, but it is especially common when it comes to buying property. Parent financial contributions to home purchases have increased in recent years. A study by mortgage broker Dr. Klein found that among those who bought a house more than 10 years ago, 17% received financial help from family, and for those who purchased in the last 3 years, that figure is now 25%. So 1 in 4 home buyers receive a capital contribution from their family. A similar trend can be seen in the almost doubling of the number of people who funded their property purchase from an inheritance. For homes bought more than 10 years ago, 7% of people mentioned inheritance, and for those bought less than 3 years ago, it's now 13%. Now, point number 5, investing in human capital. The longer you're in university, the longer you earn no income, and usually you also start with a lower salary compared to people who started working earlier and have already received pay rises. But it can be very worthwhile to invest in yourself and your human capital, as this can lead to greater salary increases later on. In this graph, you can see that people without formal job training start earning money early, while those with vocational training start later but earn more quickly, and those with a degree don't earn anything for a long time, but their income growth is typically higher, reaching a break-even point at around age 35 to 40, where the delayed career entry is balanced out and compensated for. A good example of this is when you look at doctors. They study for many years at medical school and have low salaries initially during their residency, but can earn a lot more later on. I studied for just 3 years and entered the workforce, while my medical peers studied for more than twice to 3 times as long and eventually wanted to earn more. In the long term, the average doctor probably earns a lot more than, let's say, the average banker. So, patience is key, and you will eventually feel less financially disadvantaged compared to your peers. Now, if you want to speed things up and help yourself feel more financially advantaged faster, then you'll want to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Now to point number 6. Higher income through greater work effort. You can increase your salary by simply working more, for example, by taking a side job or working more hours. In some industries, it's common to work a lot more than the usual 40-hour week, like in law or consulting, where average salaries are also higher. But if you calculate the hourly rate, then you'll find it may end up not being much better than for someone working a 40-hour week. Here we have statistics from consulting where 86% reported working 10 to 11 extra hours weekly. You may have people in your circle who have made this trade-off, working harder to earn more. This can make them seem wealthier while hiding that they may be working much harder than you, and you might actually be at the same level in terms of hourly pay. Point number 7. Consumer credit. Unfortunately, you can't tell if the Lamborghini, designer furniture, or big TV was bought with saved money or credit. The number of installment loans has steadily increased over recent years, and in the EU, every 1 in 3 people have financed consumer goods or a car on credit. Excluding home loans, installment loans are the most popular credit type. These loans are mostly used to finance consumer expenses. Over half of installment loans are used for buying new or used cars, and financing is also popular for furniture or kitchen appliances and consumer electronics. So if your neighbor shows up with a brand new car, it doesn't necessarily mean they saved up for it. It's likely half of the car actually belongs to the group who financed their car on credit. This allows people to enjoy things today at the expense of future income, things they wouldn't actually be able to afford until much later. Of course, this would come with hefty loan interest. So don't be discouraged if you feel like others are earning more. It might just be an impression. But taking all of this into account, always remember to remind yourself what game you are playing. Because there are 2 financial games in life that you can play: the status game or the wealth game. The status game will always focus on what's being displayed on the outside. Like I mentioned, noticing who got the new car, why someone's going out so much, or buying fancy clothes, etc. And it will always A, make you want to one-up another person, making bad financial choices to look better for your ego in the moment, and B, stress out when you see indicators from other people who are seemingly doing better than you. But you're never really gaining any wealth with this mindset. So there's the second game, the wealth game, where you can just focus on your own journey, your own diligence on keeping a stricter savings rate and investing to build your wealth over time and managing your ego. There's a great quote from the book Psychology of Money that states that the main lever of wealth, the savings rate, is the gap between how much money you make and your ego. Which is why it's so important for you to never let your ego take control of you and have you play the status game and worry so much about why does everyone seem to make more money than me. As we've explained in this video, there's a lot of reasons why that might seem the case, but don't worry about it. Another nugget of wisdom from Psychology of Money is that a fancy new car or watch only tells you how much money this person just lost. So focus on your own path, saving and investing, and don't worry about the rest. And if you want to know how much money you should have saved by a certain age, then you might want to check out this video over here. Thanks for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.